Hi, this is Reggie Mara. It's November 16th, I believe, 2025. It's definitely November, and it's definitely 2025. I'm here today with the sixth video where I'm putting forth just a brief synopsis of some of the elements, both historically and currently, that lead to the problems we have within us versus them mindset, specifically in 2025 America, but not only there. So, at the intersection of what each of us knows or doesn't know about history, current events, shadow, masculine, feminine energies, and the me, us, all of us, or all that is centric worldviews that I've discussed in previous videos, uh, there are cultural givens. And cultural givens, even if you've not heard that phrase before, you know what they refer to, that each of us, that means every human born anywhere at any time in human history, is given a world view, a view of what's true and real in the world, first by parents in most cases, then by teachers and other adults, and then by the culture at large. I could say more about the culture at large, but you know enough about that to understand what I'm talking about. So some of what we're given is given to us by the adults in order to simplify what they know is a very complex world, or at best, complicated world, to simplify it for us as children early on. Often as well, what we're given is given to us because the adults who give it to us believe that it is literally true, that it is factual. They're giving us their factual, held close to the heart beliefs. Um, so, as you know, I'm trusting that those who might listen to this know this already. Uh, Cultural givens may be true, meaning they're accurate. They may be false, not accurate. They may be partially true and partially false. And they may be true when we get them, when they're given to us, and then become false or less accurate as time goes on and things change. So those of us who choose to live in truth, to refer to Václav Havel's language, to live within the truth and to live with integrity, um, those of us who choose those two approaches to life, I believe, have an ethical obligation to interrogate what we were given as children, our cultural givens. Um, and if we really interrogate them and get into the nuts and bolts of what we're given and whether it's true or not, we then need to embrace what's true, that which holds up against our direct experience of the world, revise or let go completely of what is not true, what doesn't hold up. And the longer we wait to interrogate our cultural givens, the harder it is to do so. Adolescence, beginning in pre-adolescence and middle school, but through high school and into college, if you go to college, but the chronological adolescence is designed to question things, to ask what if or what about this. That's the time to really begin to do this work. If you've been living through your cultural givens into your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, or beyond, and you begin to get hints that what you've believed your entire life is in fact false, that can become an existential problem. Who am I if what I've committed myself to and believed in is not true? Right? That's a more difficult task to address. So, um, choosing not to do this interrogation of cultural givens leads to denial, and denial is, the primary component of shadow. So those of us who don't interrogate our cultural givens are prone to having larger, deeper, broader shadow than those of us who do this work. Nobody escapes shadow, though, as you know. So just as an example, um, I was born in 1954, and I was born I'm a second generation New York Catholic Italian American. I think I got them all in there, yeah. And what I was given included respect for all elders, meaning even my older sister, who was 11 months older. So I had to respect and defer to anybody who was older than I was. As a child, I was literally taught to be seen and not heard. Many of you probably had that growing up as well. I belong to the one true church. That was the Catholic Church. Not that the other churches were bad or religions were bad, but the Catholics were the one true one that Jesus had founded. I lived in the greatest country. I was a citizen of the greatest country in the world. We were the greatest because we were a democracy and we welcomed everyone and we won all of our wars. Among some of the other specifics I was given, if I said a certain number of prayers, a certain number of times, I could end war and I could reduce the amount of time I would spend in a place called purgatory, which is where I would go if I died in a mild state of sin. So I wasn't quite good enough to get into heaven, but I wasn't going to be damned eternally to hell either. So I could reduce the time I'd spend in purgatory. I was taught through books and through movies and through television that Japan and Germany were bad countries because they had started World War II, but they were trying to redeem themselves, and we were helping them redeem themselves so they could become better countries, more like us. I was told that, I was taught we always had books in the house. Reading books was a good thing to do. Because of the size of my toes when I was born, as an infant, the doctor told, not the doctor wasn't an infant, but when I was an infant, the doctor told my mom that I was going to be at least 6 feet tall because of the size of my toes. I was told I was going to be a 6-footer. I heard that many times. Just anecdotally, I'm about 5'6", so you got the 6 right. I was also taught that the Yankees were the greatest baseball team of all time because they had won more World Series than any other team in history. So I was given many, many more things tonight. I gave you some of the more humorous ones that didn't hold up and a few that did hold up. Book reading being a good thing to do, held up for my life. You can tell by the background, and that's actually real books back there, not wallpaper. And the Yankees have held up, even though more recently, not so much. They still have 16 more World Series wins than the closest competitor, which is the St. Louis Cardinals. So you get the idea. Every one of us has cultural givens. To the extent we are aware of them and we challenge them when they need to be challenged, we are increasingly more conscious and aware. To the extent we ignore them, we may be bumping up against some things in our life that are not helpful and, in fact, not true at all. So, as always, thank you for being here. This is Reggie Mara. It's November 2025. And as a note, as I get myself more organized, I expect to be dropping a new one of these videos on Sundays moving forward. So thank you again for being here. I appreciate that. I'm going to see if I can find the stop recording button, and I'll be done.